Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Welcome back, everybody. Love having her on here because she gives us clarity with this thing that we have on our head here called our brain and what's going on within it, and how we can kind of navigate life a little bit easier. And this all comes courtesy of a wonderful center that she has created in Massachusetts. New Beginnings is the name of the center, where she's got an amazing team that offer mental health guidance, support, and so much more. And we're going to dig into your emails today and so much more with our Diamond of the Decade. Sherri and Alexandrovich is back with us. How you doing today?
I'm doing okay. How about you?
Very well, very well. I love when we get together. I learn. Like, I am the smartest person in the room after these podcasts. Like, you know, I walk around acting like I know what I'm talking about many times. And that's because of you and the insight you bring.
Thank you.
Got some emails. Can we jump into those?
Yeah, absolutely.
So instant feedback, steve@gmail.com. Best way to reach us. This is from Crystal in Las Vegas. And she says, I heard you talk about parts of our personalities. Can you explain that further? Parts of our personalities. I think we skimmed that like weeks ago. Mm-hmm. And we're not talking about multiple personalities. We're talking about the different parts that we have within our personalities. Mm-hmm. Can we identify those parts ever? I wonder.
Well, so what we're referring to when we talk about the different parts of our personality or how we're made up is really, we're delving into kind of that inner child work, right? That dark side, our shadows, the parts of us that we don't always necessarily embrace but find ourselves easily triggered by in other people. And typically when we find that, it's generally something within ourselves that we're not feeling that we haven't embraced. And so I think I had mentioned the book, Debbie Ford. Actually, I have the book sitting right on my desk right here, Dark Side of the Light Chasers. And I always refer back to that book a lot when I'm doing a lot of that compartmental work with my clients about ourselves, and how do we kind of go back and look at all of the parts of ourselves, because we're multifaceted. We're not just made up of the good things, but we're also made up of other things that, maybe our personalities might be a little bit moody, or maybe we might have a depressive feature or overly anxious feature, or we tend to be a little bit grumpy on certain things, or not resistant to or open to change. So it's really, it is kind of taking a step back, taking a breath, and just really looking at all of the parts of ourselves, not meaning, like you said, not meaning multiple personalities, just meaning that we are comprised of so many different parts of us, of who we are. For example, I'm pretty multifaceted. I'm a boss. I am a coworker. I'm a supervisor. I'm a mom. I'm a grandmother. I'm a sister. I'm a mother. I'm an aunt. So those are all the different parts of who I am as a person. And you operate in different roles in each part of that. So you might be one person when you're dealing with this situation or in that other situation. So it's really just looking at who we are as a person, who do we want to be, and being open-minded to looking at what that change looks like. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And it makes me wonder, are we being us in those different situations? Like, for example, as you said, a mother, a sister, a boss, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. When we're in those different situations, it's reasonable to think that we're not going to be the same, act the same as a boss as we would as a sister. It's going to be different. Right. It's going to be maybe a different version. Are we really being us in those situations? Is it really us, or are we putting on call it a mask?
So what the immediate word that comes to mind when you say that is authenticity.
Okay.
And so if we are being true and genuine and authentic to who we are and what we believe in, then I would say, no, we're not putting on a mask, because we are not sacrificing who and what we believe in. What we are doing is altering how we might communicate something, or altering what our limits and boundaries would be, because those look different for everybody. When I'm parenting my 11-year-old grandson, or when I'm having a conversation with my 33-year-old daughter, right? So I'm a mom essentially in both of those scenarios because I've adopted my grandson. But I mean, aside from the age difference, there's different things that how I would present. And it's the same thing even when I'm dealing with my grandson, who's again my son, and my grandchildren who are just my grandchildren. Again, a different version of how I would respond or react, because my role is different. And I think that's really what it boils down to is, what is your role in that experience versus, putting on a mask. It's not really a mask. I don't have to be the parent with my grandparents. I mean, with my grandchildren, right? My daughter's an amazing mom. I don't need to have that role. But with my other grandson, I do have to be his parent because I am his parent. So the conversations, the outcomes are very different. How you address how I talk to my girlfriends probably isn't the same language that I would use when I'm talking to coworkers, right? So it's not that you're being disingenuous with who you are. You're really you're just showing a different version of who you are based on the environment, based on the circumstance. But for me, it always boils down to authenticity. Am I always true and genuine to who I want to be as a person? And am I showing that in all aspects of my life?
How do you know that you're truly being you, authentic?
Is that a question to me personally, or is that just a global
question?
No,
I mean, it's a global question.
Okay.
We're not in therapy, okay?
Well, I mean, but personally speaking, for me, I know when I'm being genuine and authentic is, am I saying, doing, or behaving in a way that aligns with my value system? And I every night before I go to bed at night, I do a reflection. So I'll kind of I'll either do a tarot card, or I'll do, I'll put on my meditation music, or I've got my oils and things. And I do my, kind of take a minute to just do my reflection, and I'll reflect upon my day on, how are some challenging things that I may have come across, and did I behave, respond, or act in a way that felt okay for me? Because at the end of the day, there's only one person that we answer to, and that's ourselves. We can say or do anything we want to anybody, but when we look at ourselves in the mirror, that's the one person we can't lie to, because you're looking at yourself, and you have no choice but to say, okay, you can't really look in the mirror and say, no, I didn't say that. Inside your mind that you did. So for me, that's always my gauge. Can I lay my head down at night? And if I cannot, and if there's something I'm kind of perseverating about, then I'll journal about it. I'll write about it. I'll think about what can I do differently. And always keeping in mind that I just always want to be the best version of myself. And none of us are perfect. And so that's just owning it. So if I find something that, I said or did that, maybe in the moment I was heated and maybe I shouldn't have said it that way, or I was a little abrasive, then it's just taking that moment to reflect and then come back the next day and say, hey, you know what, I didn't mean to come across that way, or, I didn't mean to get elevated. That's my 11-year-old will say to me, yeah, why are you getting elevated?
Whoa. There's some insight. There's some vocabulary there. Wow.
Because that's the language that we use at home, right? That's how I talk to him. Bud, you're getting elevated right now. I need you to take a breath and think about that. And so that comes back at you, right? Because kids are our little parrots. So does that kind of give you some answers to that?
It also brings up for me, and it took me a lifetime to figure this out, but nobody's going to love you more, care more about you, know you better, have your back the best than you.
Right.
We're always looking for external sources. Life will get better when, or, I need this person in my life because, I'm nothing. Or like that movie, Jerry Maguire, you complete me. No,
Right. You
No,
compliment me. You
compliment.
compliment me. So
Exactly.
when I hear the language you complete me, I always want to try to reframe that for my clients and say, you want to be in a relationship that complements you, that helps you to grow, to helps you to be the best version of yourself. Because when another person completes you, then the message that you're giving yourself is that you are not whole without them. And so now we then move into codependent or dysfunctional relationships that are not based on equality, but based on that other person having some sort of power over you that they're going to give you something to complete you.
Mm, yeah.
And so that power differential makes it really difficult when you're in a relationship that's supposed to be based on equality, not in that balance, have more of a balance.
So talking about relationships, that door just opened. So
Okay,
I'm going to grab
yeah.
another email here. And this one is from Abby in Hasbrook Heights, New Jersey, and says, my friends and I are having a debate about people who cheat. I feel it's mostly because the person cheating has things they didn't resolve in their life or maybe in their childhood. What do you think?
That's a complicated answer.
Hmm. Well, let's dissect it in pieces. So
Yeah,
I guess
yep.
many times people, when it comes to infidelity, will think that the person cheated because they weren't getting their needs met in the relationship, whatever the needs are.
Mhm.
So I think Abby is kind of looking at it a little differently in that it's more about, and I guess maybe things that we've talked about before about our childhood and the traumas within our childhood and all of that. That's what I'm guessing.
Okay. So, I mean, I guess there are several scenarios in which I would offer some feedback on that. And I think it's a little bit, first of all, I want to start by saying that every answer is individualized.
Of
And
course.
so it's really difficult in mental health to give a global answer. And that's because everybody's individual experience is different. And it's really hard to say that a person is or isn't doing something for a specific reason without knowing that person. So
Yep.
I want to kind of like lay that foundation because I think that's super, super important. Secondary, I think that there are so many different reasons why somebody would cheat. And that could have to do with, yeah, it could have to do with their childhood. Could have to do with a parent that cheated. And so that became almost like not a norm, but not a taboo thing either, right? So if you've been exposed to either your mom or your dad that have cheated, so maybe you cheating is not in your mind, right? Your experience is different versus somebody who comes from a home where maybe there wasn't cheating. So they would look at that a little bit differently. You never know what's going on in somebody's life to be able to say, I mean, you would think that somebody has the perfect life and the perfect home. And, but like you were saying, needs being met, that doesn't necessarily mean intimacy for
Right.
needs. It could mean emotional needs. It could
Sure.
be that there are other things that they're not getting from their partner. And not that it's okay to stray outside your marriage, because you absolutely should be having these conversations with your partner. But that's just a really hard question to kind of give a global answer to. So
Well, okay. So I'm curious, based on
okay.
your experience
Hmm.
and maybe working with people that have maybe couples or individuals where infidelity was part of a session. Could you say, a percentage, not scientific, where it ties back to a childhood situation? I don't want to use labels, but the things where mommy issues, daddy issues, and that was potentially the fuel for what made them stray. On a scale from 1 to 10, 10 being yes, that's it. Obviously, it's not because every situation is different.
Yeah.
What do you think it would say? Again,
Yeah,
not scientific.
I think that there is a possibility that if your needs were not met and you're always seeking that approval from either a male figure or a female figure, depending on what your current gender is or what your deficit is in your relationship with your parent, yes, I mean, there is a possibility there. I could imagine a scenario where, say, let's pick a wife who didn't really get the love and comfort from their father. And then would they then seek out that they would need to have that attention?
Yeah,
Yes, that is a possibility. There's
sure.
also so many other things that go along with that, right? Diagnoses, bipolar, there's all of the different mood swings that go with that. And part of that disorder in itself is the promiscuousness. And so that's a component of bipolar. And so that's why when I say to you, there are so many answers that I could give you. And I don't want to give misinformation or misguide somebody, because I never think that anything is that simple. But yes, I mean, I think that there are a variety of different reasons that could play a role in whether or not somebody goes outside of the relationship. Now, having said that, I want to be clear that I'm not condoning that. So
Yes.
I'm not saying that that's okay, that you have a reason, you have an excuse, and that makes it okay. There are some people who just don't, they just don't feel fulfilled from within for whatever that reason is, whether that comes from childhood, whether that comes from the relationship in which they're in, whether that comes from not having their needs met and an opportunity comes up. I mean, there's just a mirage of different answers that could go. Cheating is a tough topic. I've done some couples work with people there's been infidelity in the relationship, and it's challenging. It's challenging for both partners, because one partner is, if they are genuinely sorry and they want to change and it was a one-time thing, getting their partner to then trust them again is the bigger issue. And so dissecting into the why, I have found, and a lot of the literature will support, the why is not really as important.
Say that last part.
The why is
Why?
not always as important, right? So I think that what I've come across in couples work is the husband or the wife wanted to know, why did you do it? Why did you do it? How many times? I want details. I need to know. I need to know. And I will always like push back and say, so what is the outcome that you're hoping for when we explore that? So if we ask how many times, or what are the details, or what was the reason, what is the anticipated outcome, right? Because knowledge is power if we're using it in the right way. Sometimes, and this has been a pretty big topic with somebody that I supervise, is sometimes we just can't unhear or unsee things. And so always keeping in mind what is going to be that topic, and what is the information that you're going to hear, and how do you get past that?
Yeah. If you look, you're going to find. And are you sure you want to find? And, to your point, it's hellacious. It's horrific. I get it. But whether it was once or 100 times, whatever, is it going to make it different? There was a breach of trust. That's no matter what. Right.
And some people, in just my own personal cases that I have had, I am sure that I don't do couples work as that. That's not my specialty. So, and I've had some pretty intense couples that I have worked with before, and that's not my passion that I go towards.
Sure.
However, I've not successfully had couples come out of a cheating experience and be able to, reunite. I'm not saying that there aren't those that happens to, because there are people who specialize in couples work and they do this all the time. I try to delve into more of the trust issues, and can you rebuild that trust? And it's really hard once the trust is broken. And regardless of why the trust got broken, once you've broken a trust with somebody that is your lifetime perceived partner, it's really hard to rebuild that trust back, regardless of what the reason is. And there's so many other things that go along with the cheating. Were they safe? Were they using protection? Are you exposing me to STDs? They're like I said, this could explode into such a volcanic experience.
Totally. And then, floating in the back of somebody's mind is that notion, once a cheater, always a cheater. So whether that's true or not, we can debate that too. Yeah. But again, every situation is different.
And I do know of, people who have made mistakes when they were younger, and they've not ever repeated those mistakes. 30, 40 years have gone by, and they've had a situation where they've cheated. Circumstances were, certainly not for me to judge whether they were right or wrong circumstances. They just were. they've never cheated again. And so, some people do have that, that life lesson. I mean, they're not with that partner anymore. They're with a different partner now, and they've moved past that.
Sure.
But not everybody, unfortunately, has those epiphanies and insights. And then, even people who do, what do you do with those epiphanies and insights once you have them? Because they're great in the moment, but it's the work that comes after that high comes down that's where the real work is.
Yeah. Yeah. And as I'm scanning my brain with what you just said, anybody that I know that was involved in a relationship where cheating was involved, it ended. Maybe time went on and then more cheating was discovered or whatever.
Right.
And even one's coming in my mind of a family I know where the wife cheated and the husband looked into it. And as he traced it, found multiple instances of it. And then he looked into it deeper and kind of put the pieces together. And he's very, very close friend. And so I know, as it was unfolding, I was, privy to it. But it went back to, he feels her father, where he left the family abruptly. She did that. And he cheated. So she cheated. And now she's with somebody. He showed me pictures and it looks like her father. You can't make it up.
Yeah. And that kind of speaks to what I said in the beginning of the conversation, right? If you have a parent that's cheated, and I don't want to use the word that it's normalized, but it's
what you know. It's what you know. And what do we do?
Definitely.
We all gravitate back to what we know and what we feel comfortable with, good or bad. I was in a relationship many years ago that ended, but she would always want confrontation. And this is me, chill, figure it out. We'll work it out. All good. No problem. And it was always like, push. And especially when things, were kind of trending down in the relationship, it was even worse. And then I just did some soul searching. And then I thought, her father was abusive. And that's what she was comfortable with, going back to that.
Right. So the chaos becomes the norm. And we did a little bit of a segment on that when we were talking about trauma, is that when you are, your nervous system is always on alert, and that's how it's been conditioned. And that's been your upbringing, that when there's calm, you're always waiting for the other shoe to drop because you don't know what to do with that calm, because that's not how you were raised. That's not the experiences that you've had. So when your body is always on that high alert, it needs to be on that high alert, because sometimes just calming down and sitting still means a couple of different things. One, I'm thinking, and sometimes thinking is scary for people. Two, I'm kind of stuck looking at some of my own problems, because now I'm not fixating or worrying about somebody else's problems. So when we're pointing the finger out, we're not pointing the finger in. And we're not looking at ourselves, because we're always so heightened and looking for other people's faults. Because to look in the mirror and think about the faults that we have from within sometimes are really hard for people to do. Perpetuate that argumentative chaos.
Like they say, when you point the finger, what do you got? You got three fingers pointing back at you.
Exactly.
And I did an exercise with a group that I'm in a few months ago, where it was actually a little uncomfortable. We went around the room and we were identifying pros and cons with each man in the room, men's group. And then after it was done, it was revealed, all those things that you were pointing out in that other person, you're talking about yourself. I was like,
Oh, wait. So you know what that is, right? Those
scary. That's what that is. Scary.
Oh, yeah. Yes, that's scary. But that's exactly the first comment that the first email that you read about talking about your different parts. It all you just tied it all together so beautifully.
What?
Put a ribbon right on that box and put it on the shelf. It's done. Perfect. That was it.
Let me go back on that.
Okay.
So if you look at others and you say, look at them, he or she, look at what they do, blah, 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 blah. You're really talking about essentially yourself and calling yourself out, whether you want to admit it or not.
Well, there's something about that person that's triggering you. And so why are you so concerned about what that other person is or isn't doing? Are they exhibiting a trait about yourself that you don't like and you try to avoid? So you are just kind of subconsciously talking about what it is that that other person is doing. Because
Sherri,
I don't
this
know about you,
conversation
but
got very uncomfortable. I just want to like roll up in a ball in the corner right now. It's like, okay, let's be honest. Mask down, people. How many times do we do that? Probably multiple times a day. You know, people, you get an issue with somebody and, it's bothering you like that. Makes you think, doesn't it?
That's always, whenever we have that kind of internal angst or something makes us feel a little bit off. It's always like that's a great opportunity to get curious and just take a step back and say, what is it about that situation that's making me feel like I need to say something, or that why is that bothering me? Why is that person that I don't even know? Why is that bothering me so much? What is it about that situation? So that goes back to just kind of looking at our insides and really embracing all of who we are. And is there a part of that within me that I definitely don't want to address or don't want to think that I have like this, I don't know, lack of patience, right? Boy, look at that mother who's really got no patience with their kid over there, and they're yelling at him in the grocery store. But well, okay, well, are you so perfect as a parent that you've never, said anything to your child or disciplined your child in a way that other people might look at you and say, geez, maybe you shouldn't have done that, right? So all of that, right, is looking at all of who we are and having kindness and grace to other people, because you don't know this could go into a whole other, I could go on for an hour about that whole subject, right? You don't know what somebody else has got going on in their
100%. And that one came to me when people cut you off in traffic.
Yes.
I give them grace. Usually nothing happens. You get whatever. But now I look at it as maybe they got some bad information a minute or two ago. Maybe they're working 3 jobs and minimal sleep. Shouldn't be driving,
Maybe
but it is what it is.
in labor.
You don't
And they're
know.
trying to make the birth of their child. Absolutely. And
You
and
don't
that
know.
all, right, exactly. And all of that goes towards just really having some grace and some patience with yourself and with other people, because as much as you've got stuff going on internally, so does the rest of the world. And so it's just having that moment to take that breath and say, what is it about that that's bothering me, and maybe think twice about the intentionality before you say it. And I do a lot of that with communication work and with my clients is, what is your intention for saying that? What is it that you felt like you needed to address in that moment? There are people who are just really in tune with what's going on around them, and there are other people who necessarily aren't as in tune. But just being kind and graceful, because you don't know what that other person is experiencing.
And again, why is it bothering you?
Right.
What's the big deal?
I'm like,
why are you giving that person space in your brain, free rent, so that you can complain about them, even to yourself?
Yes.
I've done it. I hate myself for it.
I don't want to hear it. Listen, I'm not interested. My brain does not want to ever look at the negative of anything. I just kind of feel like there's so much chaos with running the clinic and having that many clients and that many employees that when I am in my personal life, I just don't want I'm not interested why somebody's clothes don't match or what they're eating or how. I just want to look at the sky or the flowers and just, be positive and look at the wonderful things in life versus focusing on what somebody is or isn't doing that doesn't affect me or impact me.
Yeah. Lots of thinking to be done for us all after this podcast concludes. It's almost kind of uncomfortable. Start thinking about the things you think about other people. Yeah. And then now hold the mirror up. So how about another email? Ready?
Okay.
This one is from Kelly, who is in St. George, Michigan. She says, my son has social anxiety. It seems to have developed in the last year or so. He used to be very outgoing. Now he's much more isolated. What can I do?
So I'm curious of her son's age because that
Mm,
alters the feedback that I have. And so
okay, good point.
because that I would just kind of give some different advice. The first thing that I would suggest is that she gets a therapist for him,
Sure.
because regardless of what his age is, if he's having some social anxiety, then clearly there's something that he needs to work on. So my first step would say, get him on some wait lists for some therapy, contact his PCP. And talk to his pediatrician about whether or not he might need, depending on the severity of his social anxiety, he might need some sort of medication. He might need an anti-anxiety. Again, really hard to say what type of medication would work because I don't know the child's age. Guanfacine seems to work relatively well for the younger kids with anxiety. There's Selects. I mean, there's just a mirage of different medications, really depending on the age of the child. I would also want to know, did something happen? Right?
Hmm.
If it just happened a year ago, was he being bullied? Did something happen? Did that scared him?
And and certainly, like the cheating thing, um,
Yeah,
there's so many variables here, and we don't have the info. But why don't we
yeah.
just throw some things in there?
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
let's.
So let hypothesize, say he's an 8-year-old little boy who was being bullied at school and now he's having some social anxiety about going back to school. I
Mm,
mean, so again, my answer would be the same regardless of the age. And the first thing I would do is I would assess for their safety. So why are you isolating, right? The first thing I would want to know, first and foremost, is there any suicidality or any self-harm? So
mhm.
whenever I hear that a kiddo is isolating, that's the first thing I want to do is assess for safety. The second thing that I want to do, I mean, obviously, if there's a safety concern, then we're taking them right to EMH, emergency mental health, and we're going to have them evaluated and assessed to make sure that we can keep them safe. If that's not happening, then we want to get them in therapy. We want to reach out to their pediatrician, and we want to see if any medication management might help in addition to therapy. I never advocate for medication without therapy. And then I would ask the kiddo, like, what's going on? I would explore. Did something happen? Were they hurt? Did somebody do something to them that makes them feel uncomfortable for leaving their house? Was there a family member that was sick? I mean, we've had cases where kids have not wanted to leave their mom because their mom is recovering from cancer. And even though the mom's in remission, they're so afraid of leaving their mother that the mom is going to get sick again because there's no dad in the home and the mom is the only lifeline. So getting that kiddo to feel comfortable to even leave the house, there's so much foundation work that needs to be done with that, which is helping them understand that mom's in remission and this is the support team that we have in place for the family. And, so therapy really is the catalyst to making sure that we can help this kiddo work through whatever it is that they're experiencing and build a team, a good support system. So, mom's recognizing that kiddo is isolating. Is there a dad in the picture? Is there, close relatives that are also in the picture? Are there other people that can kind of help this kiddo to feel more comfortable leaving?
There's so many different scenarios. I mean,
Yeah.
if it's interesting. She says her son and social anxiety doesn't give the age, but to identify that a child has social anxiety, like you said, as the hypothetical example, it could be 8,
Yeah.
and you would identify social anxiety even at that age.
Oh, for sure.
Okay.
Hmm.
What if it's a teenager? Let's say 15,
Hmm.
and let's say parents are getting divorced. Could that translate into social anxiety? And if it did,
So
big.
social anxiety is more having this fear of being out in places. And so usually typically if you'd see mom and dad are getting divorced, maybe some isolation, some depression, some anxiety about mom leaving or dad leaving or what their life is going to look like if there's just a big, financial disruption and, we have to sell the house or, the kids are being split between two parents. So that, but the social anxiety piece of things is you're feeling anxious when you're out in public.
Mm.
so socially, usually there's a reason that you're not wanting to go either to school or not wanting to go out and play with your friends anymore. I mean, could be attributed to the divorce. I don't personally see that very often or hear of that very often in the cases that we treat. It's more, so I had a client who in ninth grade really had some extreme social anxiety, and to the point where couldn't take the bus, couldn't go to school. There was just no way starting high school that this person was going to really be able to do that. And that's when I started treating her. And so we would start with mom driving her, getting through one hour of the school, and then 2 hours of the school, because we did all the assessments first, right? There was no suicidality, there was no self-harm, there was no disclosed trauma. And so, presenting as this is a ninth grade 15-year-old female who has social anxiety, doesn't want to go to school, not giving any trauma background to me to kind of go off of. And so what we did was we just started like a success story, and we started building upon the small successes to help reintroduce getting back out into the community. And so that meant, mom drives to school, we get through one period, and then we have a plan with the school where we can go down, we can kind of take a break. Maybe we do second period in the nurse's office or at the principal's office, and we kind of build. And so I would have her jot down in her phone her successes. And so every day we're looking at what are the things that we've already overcome, and we use that as our stepping stones. And those are our building blocks to kind of get to the next level of where we need to be. Because yesterday we went to 2 classes. So today let's try 3 classes. And if we can't do 3 classes, that's okay. We'll stick at 2. If 2 doesn't feel good for us today, so we'll go to 1. And then tomorrow we'll go back up to 2. But just always reinforcing that if today we can only do 1 hour, but yesterday we did 2 hours, we didn't lose our success. We still accomplished that.
That's a beautiful way to look at it.
Yeah.
Go
ahead.
It's like that, it's like starting all over again. And certainly, you may have some family stuff going on. Then you add a new school, high school, ninth grade.
Absolutely.
It's a big deal. It's a big change going on there.
Huge deal. And right. So every day is a new beginning. Hence the name of my clinic is every day is a new beginning. And we have the opportunity every day to wake up and do something better and change, and always just want to build our stepping stones to a brighter future, right? That's kind of like where all of my philosophies and mission statements come from, is from even my own personal journeys of understanding that every step I have taken, I may have taken 10 steps back, I may have taken a year back, I may have just taken an hour back, but either way, every day I get to wake up and say, today I'm going to do something different. And so I just kind of like, I'm always that cheerleader for my clients. Okay, well, so yesterday we could only tolerate one hour. That's okay. At most, we've tolerated 2. Let's challenge that. Let's go to 3 hours. Let's do that. And by the way, I just want to say this particular client graduated top of her college class. And is yes. And, was the head of her sorority. And I mean, like,
you are beaming with pride.
You don't even know. You don't even know where she started and where she is today. The position she holds today is mind-blowing.
Amen.
Mind-blowing. Yeah. And so I've got tears in my eyes, just even like, so we can move through these social anxiety pieces. I mean, this particular person is just a shining example of a kiddo who could not go to school.
Wow.
And so, yes. So I guess I don't know if that answered that question, or if I tend to always.
No, but it gives a lot of clarity in many different directions, right down to the effectiveness of therapy and everything involved in that. Yeah. This never happens. I forgot what I was going to say. I had a thought. First time in 6,000 podcasts. Because I feel your emotion from that situation, and it's just beautiful. Like, my gosh. Now I remember, and it's what you said. the wins.
Yes.
We look for instant wins, gratification. We're wired to Amazon. One button, it's here by 3p today
Yeah.
in most areas.
Yeah.
But we never look back at what we've accomplished. Look at 6 months. Don't do a week. Don't do 2. 6 months, a year. Go back a year. What has happened in your life in a year?
Right. But I don't even want to talk about mine.
Same. I mean, like I like that about me.
You got about 6 hours, a bottle of wine.
And now, right now, let's look at those things
Yeah.
as what you overcame.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Holy blank! Like,
Right.
when I look back, I'm like,
Right.
well, you pulled that off, and like seriously, things I never thought I'd ever do to move my life forward, situations, taking chances, like mind blowing when I think about it. And I'm just an average guy. I'm like, it's amazing when you take a look at it and take inventory that year.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and we have to be our own cheerleaders, because it's, if we're always looking for somebody else to build us up and that person is having a bad day, guess what? We didn't get our daily dose of build up that day. And it's the same thing, goes back to the relationship, right? Complete versus complement. It's really important that our reward system has to be internal. And I'm not saying that it doesn't feel good when someone compliments us or gives us really good feedback, but our sense of self has to come from within. And if it doesn't, then we're constantly dependent upon somebody else. We know that not everybody's behavior is the same every day. And so if your partner or your parent or your sibling or whoever you're looking for that validation from is having a bad day and they don't give it to you, now you're having a bad day. Wow, you just gave the keys to your kingdom away to somebody else. Those are your keys. Hold on to those as tight as you can and only allow people to take from you what you can give. Because when you give, and then you become depleted and you become empty, you don't have anything left to give. And the people on the outside who are receiving that, well, they're used to receiving that. So they're not going to give it back because that's just not been that dynamic of that relationship. So it's that shift of saying, okay, today I'm going to take into consideration the things that I have been able to overcome, or the things that I have positively been able to reshape and be better, versus, the whole philosophy is I am because. That has so many different outcomes that can be negative or positive. I view my life, my journey, my experiences as what has shaped who I have chosen to become today. Not perfect, right, wrong, or indifferent. I have made the decision that my experiences were going to shape me in a way to be able to give back, versus viewing it as, wow, I've had a really bad life. Nobody's ever been at my side. I feel like life is so overwhelming. I need to do drugs, or I need to go to alcohol, or I can't, somebody is always the reason why I can't succeed. We are our own biggest barriers. And that is an absolute fact. There are other people that weigh heavily, and environmental things that weigh heavily, and finances weigh heavily. But we can persevere. I mean, we can kind of get to that next place by just acknowledging and believing in ourselves.
Do you find that we should always look for the opportunity or the win in situations?
I think that we proceed with caution, because there are some circumstances that we may have had a negative experience of that we want to be cautious for. I wouldn't suggest that anybody just move forward without thought or, consideration of how things could go differently. But I think, in a cautious way, being able to move forward, but with that underlying positivity. That would be my suggestion, is not foolhardily, but
I was with a friend yesterday, and he's into this girl, and she's got a boyfriend floating around out there. And I said, just look at what's going on here. You're giving her attention that she's not getting. All of this is going on here, but she doesn't return it. Like he tries to make plans with her, wanted to do something on the weekend, go away for a day, two, whatever it is. She committed once, dropped the plans. Yeah, I said she can't go. Happened again. And he's just like, I can't believe this. I'm like, look at what you have here.
Yeah.
Now you have the answer. She's not the answer. She revealed herself. I know it sucks, but look at the win. Now you know. Don't give her any more space in your mind and in your heart. Get rid of it now. Now you know. You got your answer. In a way, quietly thank her. Good. We're good now. I got it. I figured it out. You don't want to know that answer, but now you know. So now you can move in a different direction.
Yeah, knowledge is power for sure, right?
Yeah.
Understanding things and looking at things from different perspectives and being able to kind of move forward in positive ways is always so important. It's just important information on how we're going to kind of answer the next problem that comes our way.
Tell me about the events coming your way that you're working on very soon.
So yes, absolutely. So Blessed Nourishment is a nonprofit, and that's BLESSED Nourishment, and there's an Instagram website, and so Blessed Nourishment is a nonprofit that is supporting an orphanage in Ghana. It's called the Vadim Orphanage. And so New Beginnings is one of the major sponsors of Blessed Nourishment. I met Sherri, who is the founder of Blessed Nourishment. And so she is an amazing young lady, and I hired her back in November. And so during our interview, she was telling me how she's from Ghana and she's here. And so during COVID, so she's in her 20s, I don't know her exact age. So younger, but during COVID, she would take her money and she would give all these different hand sanitizers and napkins and food out to homeless people. And so she is, very connected to Ghana and to the orphanages out there. And so we did a launch for Blessed Nourishment in November, and New Beginnings was able to sponsor enough money to go down in February, and we went to Ghana. And we built a dining hall down there because the kids didn't have, there's 78 kiddos at this particular orphanage, and they didn't have anywhere to eat. So we were able to, with the money that we raised, build a dining hall, help with their water filtration system, which was ran on solar. So you can imagine when there's no sun out there, there's just no running water. We were able to go down, and New Beginnings started a scholarship because in Ghana, your education is free up until you hit high school, and in high school you have to pay for it. So the kids at the orphanage can't always afford to go on to high school. So New Beginnings has started a scholarship, one male and one female for the top students, and every year we'll do that. We also were able to bring down nurses and doctors to do vaccines and eye vision and hearing tests and be able to provide whatever the kids needed that was the result of the visits and the exams. My grandson went down and he was able to read to the kids at the elementary school. We brought down school supplies and backpacks and uniforms. We're starting a music program down there. And so this year we're doing a gala, which is going to be August 16th. It's a Saturday night. It's at the AC Hotel in Worcester. And you can go onto Eventbrite. It's listed there. So that it's in a week from this Saturday coming up. So less than 2 weeks away. All of the proceeds are going to go towards, so this year's 2025 goals are to build 2 bathrooms, a boys' bathroom and a girls' bathroom. And right now, they shower outside. And
beautiful.
Yeah.
What inspired you to help people of that country?
So I've always had a passion for helping people, and I'll tell you when I met with Sherri and she was just talking about the lack of services, the lack of resources, the kiddos and what they need, and how deplorable the conditions of these orphanages are. And honestly, I didn't even really have a true understanding until she gave the slideshow at the launch back in November of 2024 of what the conditions. I mean, these kids are sleeping on the floor with blankets, and there are the bedrooms are very small. Obviously, there's no fans. The bunk beds had to be destroyed because of bed bugs. So we're working to try to get metal bunk beds built. And so when we went down there, so if you go onto the Instagram Blessed Nourishment or even onto Eventbrite, there is videos of when we went down there and what the conditions of the orphanage look like, the things that we were able to give to the kiddos. Do you know that, I mean, I had got them little goodie bags, like fun stuff, like outside of the school supplies that we had sent. And so one for each of the kids at the orphanage, and it was filled with like bubbles and color books and crayons and just kind of like fun things. One of the kids was drinking the bubble solution because they'd never seen bubbles before. They'd never seen bubbles before. Like,
Wow. Wow.
if the conditions of the orphanage are indescribable. It's indescribable. And, when we went to see the look on their faces of gratitude and thankfulness, we were able to go to 3 of the elementary schools and provide hot lunch to them. Every kid got a backpack full of school supplies outside of the orphanage. We went to the elementary schools and did this as well. And when we went out to the orphanage, and if you see the pictures of these kids, and we brought soda and cake, and we were celebrating. Sherri and I both have a birthday in February, so the kids were celebrating our birthday with us, and just to see, I mean, they had come up with songs. They were playing with the few instruments that they had, and they made banners. And I'm not at my office today. I'm working from home, but at my office behind me, you can see the scarves that they sewed our names on for, and just it's such a cause that is so needed, and it just is no opportunity for help because the country is impoverished, and so if there's not any exposure, or people don't talk about, you don't know, and you see these kids and their eyes, and I'll tell you, for the amount of good that we did when we went in such a short amount of time, and I like November to February, we built a dining hall just in those few short amount of months. The people down there were able to, the workers, to just get that done. And we did the ribbon cutting with the kiddos, and then to leave. And as much as you feel like, wow, like I did so much good, and we brought so many things down there. And then these kids are sleeping on the floor, and you're going home to a bed. And these kids are going 15 kids per bedroom, just sleeping on the floors. It's heartbreaking and impactful, and just such a need that I just have become so passionate. And just like, this is just really part of what New Beginnings is going to be sponsoring every year. And I'll tell you, my grandson was talking, he had gone, and he's 11, and what an experience. I'll tell you, he was doing, somebody was asking him one time, they said, think of a time in your life where you felt as though you had the most inner peace, like the most that you've ever given back, like ever felt. And without hesitation, I mean, and this was just a month ago, he said, when I went to Ghana, when I went to the orphanage, and the work that we did.
This is an 11-year-old.
An 11-year-old. This is an 11-year-old. And he was like, cannot wait to go back. Like, he just cannot wait to go back. We just did a clothing drive 2 weeks ago. The amount of clothes that we got donated was unbelievable. And, so we're going to get a truck that's going to bring all of the clothes and the supplies down to the orphanage for these kids. It was amazing, the amount of community involvement that we got. New Beginnings is going to be at the Summer Jam at Crompton Park this Saturday, coming up in Worcester, Mass. Crompton Park does a summer jam every year, and we're going to be there because we're supporting the community with that, but we're also going to be there giving away backpacks. And school supplies. And so for anybody who wants to come down and even give a monetary donation, regardless if it's $1 or 50 cents, you're going to get a ticket to win a raffle for a $30 Walmart gift card. So just trying to really encourage people to come down and donate. And if you're from out of state and you can't come to the gala, go onto the Blessed Nourishment website, and there's links on there where you can just donate. And what I want to do is I'd like to get together with on the Blessed Nourishment website is we want to kind of do like a thermometer, right? Because the cost of the boys and the girls bathrooms and what we're going to build, just so that people can see where how much money that we're raising and where it's going, and then be able to show the pictures of the outcomes of everything that we've been able to do there is just absolutely, it's beyond rewarding. I can't even put it into words without crying. It's like
it is what moves your life forward, to give to others, to help others. And it's not that many of us don't want to. We don't realize how it's going to impact, but also impact us.
Yeah.
What it's going to make you feel like, how it's going to change your life, to give back to others. I mean, just holding the door open for somebody, you're walking out of a convenience store, little things like that. Just be kind. Be kind. Be kind to yourself too.
It's free. It's free to be kind. It's free. Yes, absolutely. And so anybody that wants to kind of be part of this Blessed Nourishment, the foundation to kind of help with the orphanage would be so amazing to be able to give these kids. Can you imagine these kids oh my God. So when we unfolded the dining hall, we had sinks installed, and these kids were playing. They don't have sinks. They were playing in the water. They didn't care about the picnic tables in the dining hall. Now they can eat when it's not raining out. When it's raining out, they can have somewhere to go to eat and not have to sit at their desk. The sinks were like, oh my God, the running water, and for them to. We have videos of them just playing in the sink. It was unbelievable. And so to be able to build bathrooms where they can have 2 showers, 2 sinks, 2 toilets per gender. And that's really our big goal for this year, is to be able to give them that sanitation, which would be just incredible.
Sad what we take for granted. Yeah.
I'll tell you, my 11-year-old came back just with a whole different perspective, for sure, because it's a very different experience. I
can't understand what that condition is like, but I have been to the Caribbean and have worked there and have supported some organizations. I brought pencils with me. OMG. It was like Christmas times a million all over again. Pencil. The gratitude.
Erasers, pencil sharpeners. You would not believe when we were handing out these supplies, the looks on these. Steve, so we brought hot lunch. These kids would either eat a portion of it or none of it to take home to their families. Just let that sink in for just a second. 5 years old, and you take 3 bites of your meal and you package it up and you put it in your backpack to take it home to share it with your family.
We are out of time, and I'm just going to say I'm kind of glad, because you're going to make me cry. Thank you for the work you do around the world, with the center and abroad. Just amazing. I appreciate you.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate you.
And just the insight, even answering questions from viewers, listeners. Super cool that you're a source to go to. And what's the website for the center?
newbeginningswc.com.
Beautiful.
All of our information is right on there. My email address is on there. If anybody has, wants to make a referral, you can do it right on the website as well.
And now I know how to say Worcester.
Yeah. And if anybody has any, if there's any more email feedbacks or questions or things like that, more information is better for me, because it's easier for me to kind of give some advice or some insight if I know more more dynamics about the case versus I never want to give information that's not accurate or lead somebody in a path that isn't the right way for them to go, or I don't want them to feel like their question wasn't answered.
Yep. I totally gotcha. And you know what? With what you said, thank you for saying that. It can be confidential. So if you don't want to give your name or anything like that, we're going to have to. Yeah. For sure. Instant feedback, steve@gmail.com for next time we get together.
All right.
Thank you so much for today. Really appreciate it.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you. We'll be right back.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Hi, this is Terry Crews, actor, former football player, game show host, father of 5, and all-around big dude. I'm also an expert on drama. I know all kinds of drama. There's the good kind that comes with having a house full of kids. There's the bad kind like season-ending injuries. There's the necessary kind like having an agent in Hollywood. And there's silly drama like the drama around my percolating pectorals. And then there's the drama you can skip.
Skip the drama that comes with not having your high school diploma or equivalency. Find free adult education classes near you and finish your high school diploma. Visit finishyourdiploma.org.
Or text diploma to 97779. Message and data rates may apply. Reply stop to opt out. That's diploma to 97779. And leave the drama to actors like me.
Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.